I'll never forget, I was laying in bed. It was in the fall, and the weather was just starting to change, and it was a little rainy outside. It was starting to get kind of cool and crisp at night. And I was doing a meeting, and I was laying in my hotel room. I was watching television, and a commercial came on, and it said, "The cold and flu season is here." And then they proceeded to tell you what you needed to take for the cold and flu season. And I'll never forget hearing that little voice in my heart saying, they are selling you the need before they sell you the product. I thought, selling me the need? What does that mean? And I began to ponder on that. And through the course of time, I began to realize that almost everything that happens in our life happens because we facilitate it. We either facilitate it physically or emotionally or spiritually, but we facilitate everything that happens in our life. Most diseases, they don't just attack you and out of nowhere. We all get exposed to cancer. We all get exposed to various viruses and bacteria. The question is not, do we get the disease? The question is, does my body facilitate the disease? And it's the same way with temptation. It's the same way with depression. It's the same way with emotions. I have to be able to facilitate anything before it can take any kind of root in my life. And then I began to see something. I began to see that in the Old Testament, when the Bible tells us what happened in the Garden of Eden, that before Satan could ever draw man into dysfunctional behavior, before he could ever draw him into any kind of temptation, he had to first create the feelings of lack. In other words, through questioning and challenging and eventually man coming to believe that he really wasn't who God said he was, it made him vulnerable to try to find fulfillment through all these other destructive means. Here's something I realize. No problem can take any part of my life beyond how I give it an opportunity or how I facilitate it being alive in me. When I believe that I am who God says I am, when I believe that I have what God says I have, when I believe that I'm loved, when I believe that I'm accepted, when I believe that Jesus really did pay the price for everything that I need, when I really believe God finds no fault in me, there can be no feelings of lack in my life. And if there are no feelings of lack, then there can't be any temptation. The cycles that you find yourself going through, all of those cycles are based on feelings of lack in some area of your life, feelings of unworthiness. And the amazing thing is, unfortunately, so much of what we've heard from the pulpits have told us what's wrong with us instead of what's right with us. It's time for you to hear what's right about you. It's time for you to hear about how much God does love you. It's time for you to hear about all the promises and all that God has for you. If you want to break the cycle, the destructive cycle in your life that's caused by lack, if you want to free yourself from these feelings of unworthiness, these feelings of inadequacy, it's only going to happen when you connect to this unconditional love of God. You know what? I've got a book called Breaking the Cycle, and it will help free you from these feelings of lack that keep drawing you into these destructive cycles. God's already for you. He's already on your side. He's not seeing the fault in you that you're seeing. And because you're looking at what's wrong with you instead of what's right with you in Jesus, you're just magnifying the problem and giving it a place to grow in your life. Let's start magnifying what's right about you. Let's start magnifying Christ in you. You'll like all the benefits.